to Kiwi Living, coming up. Looks fancy but is actually easy. Mike has a stunning Italian meal for you. What an interior designer does in their own home. I find out all her tips and tricks for pulling off the hottest house trend this year. Tony's shown up by a bunch of kids and tells us how a hedge can actually be edible. The DIY team get busy lightening up this dark lounge space. It's surprisingly easy. What if you're the first at the scene of your pet's accident? Dr. Stacey's here with some first aid advice. And superheroes not required. Monty's here with some personalised advice on getting balance. That's tonight on Kiwi Living. No, my haramai, it's Friday, the end of the school holidays, sorry kids, but mum and dad are probably in a good mood tonight, so let's get you even happier by kicking off the evening with a fancy feast. If you love Italian, but worry about the carbs, don't. Sophia Loren, the gorgeous and curvy Italian movie star, said, everything you see, I owe to spaghetti. So if it's good enough for her, it's good enough for us. Here's Mike with some delicious and easy Italian.
Pasta is often a midweek meal for the family. But I think Italian can be a wonderful way to entertain. So I'm going to show you a no-fuss Italian pasta feast. Tonight I'm serving two pasta dishes. One is very light and the other very traditional. First up, mussel and courgette linguine. Now, I told you I was going to show you something different. So I'm using courgettes for my pasta. What the courgettes do is they give you a wonderful colour, but they also take on flavour extremely well, much like pasta. So we just cut the ends off. Take this little guy here, called a vegetable lathe, or I call it a curly-whirly machine. Pop that in there. Then, as you're pushing, you're just turning. And what you end up with, if I can show you this, a beautiful, big, long strands of courgette, or courgette linguine. It's brilliant. The thing is, if you haven't got one of these machines, what you could do is you could just use a peeler and just peel all the way around, and so you're getting long strips off the courgette. Pop those aside to drain while you get on with cleaning those delicious New Zealand mussels. First thing, mussels generally come with a lot of barnacles. Knock those guys off, because otherwise you can find those barnacles can get into your sauce and become really gritty. Second thing is, mussels generally have big beds. You want to remove these as close as you can to cooking, because once you remove this, the mussel will die. Third thing, if you come across any mussels that are open, what you do is just give it a little tap, and if it closes back up, it's good. If it doesn't close up, it's dead, so you want to throw that guy away. Now, there is a trick to cooking mussels. First up, what you do is you take a heavy based pot, heat it up, get loads of heat into that pot, pour in your mussels, drop in your wine or your water, put the lid straight on, and then that's like a pressure cooker, and it instantly snaps those mussels open. After only a few minutes, they're looking perfect. The shells are open, so they're cooked. One thing I want to do now is I want to strain the mussels, just to get any of that grit that's left inside the mussels out of my stock. Pour that into a sieve. Then just wipe out the pot. They can go back in and tip the mussels and the liquid back in. Then into a pot, some tomatoes, lemon, baby spinach, Italian parsley, and a few threads of the wonderful saffron. And then finally, we add in that wonderful courgette linguine. Add that in. Wow, look at that. Yeah, lovely. Ah, that just smells delicious. All that saffron's coming out. So what we want to do now is just pop the lid back on and put that onto the heat for a few more minutes, and you're good to go. Mushroom pappardelle, come to daddy. This is one of my most favourite pasta dishes because it uses one of my most favourite ingredients, mushrooms. They have so much flavour, and you can use them winter, summer, doesn't matter. And when it comes to mushrooms, I tend to use field mushrooms. They have the best flavour. So on the outside of this mushroom is you've got this chewy skin. So you want to get rid of this. So you just run around the outside and just peeling the skin back from this mushroom. You also find a lot of the dirt is on the outside of the skin. So it's twofold. You're removing the skin and the dirt. Then we just need garlic, olive oil, salt and pepper. So now we just bang those into an oven, 180 for about 10 minutes, or until your garlic is lovely and soft. Okay, now it's time for the pasta. So the thing is, dried, fresh, doesn't really matter. It's whatever you've got in the fridge or in the pantry. I love to use pappardelle because it's got that real wide ribbon on it. It's twice as wide as fettuccine. So I think that it takes on twice the flavour. That's my thought anyway. Tricks, loads of water. You don't necessarily need oil in there, but you do need salt. That goes in, That's going to flavour your pasta opposed to taking flavour away. So when you're cooking pasta, we can get stressed about overcooking it. So a good thing to do is once you drop the pasta in, set a timer to 6 minutes, and then after that you want to start checking it probably every minute. So now's the fun part. What we're looking for is a term that they call al dente, or firm to the bite. So what you want to do is take a bit of pasta out and just bite it. And then it still feel a little bit of resistance, it's good to go. Get it off. Now that my mushrooms are cooked, I'll chuck them into a food processor with a little bit of olive oil just to get the mixture moving. It's delish. So that's it. That's all done now. All we need to do is add this pulp or mushroom puree to our pappardelle and we're good to serve. Look at that, people. How simple was that? It was a piece of cake. And the smell is just glorious. So to finish this off, here I've got some dry feta, which I'm just going to crumble over the top. The sharpness of the feta is just going to lift all of these flavours. And then I've got a little bit of chopped dill and some flat leaf parsley over the top. And there we go. Doesn't that look a treat? Ah! And finally, a simple fennel salad. Fennel is awesomely refreshing, so it's great to use in salads. So to prep this guy, all you need to do is cut off the top, cut it to half, and then you've got quite a hard core, so just cut that core out, like so. And then I'm using a Japanese mandolin. What these do is they ensure that you have the same thickness every single time, and they're really quick. But if you haven't got one, just use a sharp knife. Now the shredded fennel bulb just needs to go into a little bit of water with a squeeze of lemon juice. So to plate this up, it's always quite nice to layer your salad. That way you can taste the individual flavours. A little bit of cos down, a little bit of fennel down, a little bit more cos on top, lovely. There we go, lovely, look at that. Doesn't that look the part? And then just before the guests arrive, I'm just going to dress that and it's good to go. Perfect timing. Hey! How are we?
Oh, yeah.
You well? Good to see you, good to see you. Grab a seat. Lovely night for it, isn't it? I've been busy. Here we go, people. Big mushroom pappardelle. Little light Sally.
Oh, nice. Oh.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Doesn't they look cool?
That made my night.
These dishes were so simple to make, but they look $1 million and will give the old midweek spag bowl a run for its money.
Amazing.
Here's to Italian feast. Bellissimo. Bellissimo.
So delish. Now, if you're thinking dessert, remember Mike's homemade ice cream? That'll definitely work, and you can find the recipe on our website. Now, our DIY team are here tonight. How to bring light into a dark space with just a lick of paint. This is Interior Painting 101. You can do it in a day. You could do it tomorrow. Here's Melissa and Dion transforming a lounge room to make it feel bigger, warmer and fresher.
This is a perfectly pleasant room, but there's something not quite right. And I reckon it's going to take paint to make it work. This one is going to be all about bringing the light into the house because it's quite low, it's quite dark. I'm going to paint out all that wood, make it all fresh and white and bright.
Painting out all that wood.
You're cringing.
Hey, big call.
It is a big call, could be a little bit controversial, but you know what? It's going to make such a huge difference. It's going to make that stud height feel bigger. It's going to open the space. It's going to feel super fresh, but I am going to contrast it slightly. I'm going to do the fireplace surround in a charcoal.
Okay.
So that's going to be a really nice feature. And then we're going to put some beautiful earthy linen curtains in and just kind of give it a bit more of a personality, a bit more of a soul, fresh, white, clean, bright.
Heaps of painting to do. You got the man for the job.
All right, good.
Okay.
I'll help you do some sanding.
Let's get stuck in.
What will instantly lighten up this space is a lick of paint. So, we'll get the drop cost down and get on with some preparation. So we're going to show you how to prep your windowsills, your cabinet and the fire surround. Spending a little bit of time masking now will save you a lot of time later.
And to make life easy, remove all the window hardware first.
Give every surface that you're going to paint a good clean with sugar soap. Just really rub it in, get all the grease and all the dirt off.
Wooden surfaces should always be lightly sanded before our next step.
Because this is such a dark stain, we're going to be using this primer. The new Dulux Precision High Opacity Stain Blocker Prep Coat has excellent adhesion properties to help it stick to the varnished surface. It also blocks most stains so that they'll not migrate through the subsequent coats of paint. So Dion, how are you feeling about painting all this wood out?
Well, sometimes you are right. It is actually lightening it up a lot.
I think in the end you always agree with me, whether you like it or not.
I guess I have to, don't I?
And now, my favourite part, the top coat. Dulux Aqua Enamel is what we're using for the top coat on everything that we're painting. This is great for cupboards and trims because it's hard wearing and can take a few knocks. I do get great satisfaction out of painting, I have to say.
It's quite relaxing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. That immediate, clean, fresh.
Painting is not hard though, is it? I mean, as long as you stroke one way, you can't really go wrong.
True.
Hey.
And our curtains have arrived from Guthrie Barron.
Right.
Hey, Warren, how are you?
Good.
You've got our curtains.
Curtains are ready.
Yay! I've chosen light colours for both the shears and the curtains, and you'll be amazed at how much they lighten up the room.
Hey, this is meant to go on the back one.
That's the sheer curtain that you're putting on the front track there.
Mate, I don't hang curtains. Hey, you didn't see it? I'm going to quickly change it over, mate.
So talented, and such a nice soft touch with those curtains.
Thank you.
Be gentle with them.
I don't do this often, Melissa, as you can tell.
No, I can tell.
But I'm a fast learner, and look at that.
Yeah, just straighten them out and just smooth them a little bit.
How does that look? Are you happy with that?
Yeah, yeah. And in no time at all, they're up.
Voila. Hey?
Loving it. Right. I am dying to get this room sorted.
How's that? Is that where you want it?
Thank you. See, this is going to like lighten up this dark black sofa, give it a little bit of earthiness.
Is that enough?
Yeah, that's fine. A great idea is to get a cushion or two made up by using the same fabric as your curtains.
How's that? That looks nice, doesn't it?
Yeah, very nice.
Handsome man in there too, isn't it? No?
If you say so
I
yourself.
thought you were going to say that, Connie. Hey, check that out. That has definitely lightened it up, hasn't it?
It has. I think we achieved what we set out to do. And we've done that by painting that wood out that you really didn't want me to do.
Hey, I love it. I reckon it looks awesome.
It's just made it much more modern and fresh.
I love the curtain fabric, especially when it's hung properly.
But you know what? Those curtains, they will last forever because they're so neutral and timeless and they just work with everything. The striped cushions bring in the warmth and the colour and the texture.
Looks awesome. Well done. Beautiful.
Ow! For more information, go to our website.
Little bit of paint, little bit of elbow grease, big transformation. Now here's what's coming up. Hedging your bets. Want privacy and a meal? Tony has the top hedging tips as he puts these poor kids to work. What happens when an interior designer designs their own home? I visit this outstanding example. Dr. Stacey has some excellent first aid advice for your pets. And are you trying to be a superhuman? Monty's here to help us achieve a better work-life balance. Tony Morell making a habit of popping in here.
I've got to keep an eye on my latest gardening rookie.
Well, you do actually, and guess what? I did get out into the garden last weekend and I planted those poppins.
It was nice and simple.
It was actually.
And here's a nice project for you this weekend.
Okay.
Next project is putting in your winter greens, and I really like Cavolo Nero and the curly kale, and of course the winter salads. Really nice to have your own lettuce leaves growing over the winter period, and this weekend is the perfect time to be putting them in. You can either raise your own seeds or just do what I did, go to the garden centre and get some punnets. These are for you.
Easy? Easy.
Very, very easy. Look, kale has been around for such a long time, and it has become such a popular plant to have.
Yeah.
It's really nice as a vegetable, good and green smoothies, or you can make lovely kale chips.
Yum. And what have we got here?
Broad beans. Love the broad beans. And these are the miniatures, so they're not going to get particularly big. You'll place them out at this sort of spacing into your garden bed, push them into twice the depth of the seed, and in about 15 to 18 weeks, you are going to have your own broad beans. And the new tender shoots, those lovely leaves that are coming through, you can pick those and use them in salads.
And are these for me too?
They're for you.
Yes. Excellent. Now, speaking of edible things, edible hedges.
I love it, and I got a chance to work with some fantastic children putting in lovely feed jars. I think hedges are a great alternative to a fence. They can provide privacy, shelter, and can define an outdoor space with soft, green, natural walls. I'm going to show you the basics of planting a gorgeous hedge, and this weekend happens to be a perfect time to put one in. And here are some of my favourite hedges that work really well in many parts of New Zealand. This is the Sanqua Camellia. You get flowers at different times of the year depending on the species or variety you choose. It's a good one. An alternative to Buxus, Royena lucida, with beautiful red leaves at the start of the season when it's popping out, and then they turn to green. Really lovely to feature those smaller border beds around your home garden. Totara, who would have thought? A majestic, great big tree, but really beautiful as a hedge. You can keep it super tight or let it go right up to the sky. Love hornbeams, a real classic European hedge. The wonderful thing about this plant is that it holds on to its leaves when they die. So you've got these gorgeous bronze leaves on the tree, and then come springtime, a fresh burst of new growth. Certainly well worth considering. And for a bit of fun, why not consider an edible hedge? Apples, blueberries, or the ultimate, the feijoa. I think these trees are just perfect as an edible hedge, and making sure that you give them plenty of water over the summer months will ensure that you'll get lots and lots of juicy fruits. And today I'm going to show you how to create your own edible hedge using feijoas. A cool autumn morning, but a beautiful day. We're at the Windy Ridge Primary School, and today I'm planting a 5-metre long feijoa hedge with the help of these guys. Hey, you crazy lot. Grab your spades, grab your spades. You've had a big breakfast?
Yeah.
You got your hats, you got your gloves, you got your spades. We're going. Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys good? Keep coming over here. So this particular variety of tree, or feijoa is called, down here, Lani, is called unique. And what that means is that it's a self-fertile, so it doesn't need a male and a female, so it will produce fruit nice and easily. You don't need boys and girls, they just have to do their own thing. So the first thing we'll do is we'll be pre-soaking the trees in a bucket of water with a couple of capfuls of sea salt. It's a really good practice to get into this season. Let's get on to it. Blake, can I please have the sea salt? Sea salt is a complete garden health treatment, and it's made from natural seaweed. Sea salt promotes strong root growth, reduces transplant shock, and helps plants to tolerate all kinds of stress like heat. We probably needed a bigger bucket, but you get the general idea. Okay, out the bucket, nicely, protecting the branches. Let's not be rough about it. Okay, end of stage 1. Points out of 10? 10 points. I need a tree there, Blake, tree there, Ben, Kate there, Lani there, and Lucy there. And that's about 800 millimetres apart, which is kind of the general rule for putting in hedges. So let's get to it! I tell you, I'm really sweating here. This is such hard work for me. Keeping it. It's the hardest job in the world, and somebody's got to do it, and that's me. Okay, clearly this is not working. It's quite a hard dig. Give it here, Blake. You guys can stand by, and I will dig the holes, and you will be commandeered back for planting.
Put your back into it, Tony.
Are you giving me orders? Okay, can I get into there, please, Kate? It's going to break up the soil a bit so the roots can go down into it nicely. Okay, I've pretty much hit hard ground, and I've measured the root ball of the feijoas, 30 centimetres in circumference and 30 centimetres high. Now, sitting on the ground, I've got a good sort of 100 mils above ground, and that's okay. If you've got a particularly hard ground at your place and you think you might have to add some drainage, you might want to go and use some scoria or some gravel in the bottom of the hole. But in this situation, it's already a bit gravelly, so I'm just going to plant a little bit proud. And when big rains do come, I don't have to be too concerned about excessive moisture flooding in around the root ball. It will simply wick out. Okay, guys, trees in the holes, trees in the hole, trees in the hole. Nice and gentle into the holes, all nice and level. So all the nice foliage to the front, a little bit flatter at the back to the wall. Yep, we're in a straight line. Perfect. Okay, let's start backfilling. Make sure the weeds don't go back in again. Nice technique, Kate. Put your back into it. Lani, you've managed to spread your soil from here to Takapuna. That's fantastic. How are you going, Lucy? Big shovelfuls of soil. Remember, you're not making a cup of coffee. Blake's setting a really good example in hole number 1. Coming in second fastest, Ben. Of course, Kate's coming in third with a couple of smaller spoonfuls of soil. I like the soil to go back into the hole from where it came. There's some good biology in that soil, and it's essential for growth. And then on top of that, we can put the good stuff, like the Tui Garden Mix and, of course, the mulch on the top. Tui Garden Mix provides the optimum growing conditions for your plants. The versatile planting mix adds nutrient-rich organic matter, sheep pellets, and fertiliser to your soil for healthy plants. Rain could be on the way, but we can't count on it. So it's important when you plant your hedges to give them a jolly good drink and keep up with the watering come spring and summertime. That way you'll get nice big juicy fruits. I know your next question, it's all about pruning. And so here's a really good general rule. After something's finished flowering or fruiting, then you give it a good prune. That way you'll get more flowers and, more importantly, lots more fruits on new wood next year. This is Tui Mulch and Feed. It protects plants from extremes in temperatures, keeps the roots moist, suppresses the weed growth, and keeps a tidy, impressive look. Used throughout your garden to keep your piece of paradise looking top-notch. That's the way, Ben. We're making a bit of a donut around the base of the tree. We want to get the mulch away from the stem of the plant, well away from the top of the root ball, and that donut will mean that the moisture will stay in close to the root ball where we want it while the plant's establishing. Keep the weeds at bay, keep the moisture in the ground. It's a really good thing. Happy?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, there you go. The hedge is looking good. It's all in the ground and thanks to me. Okay, thanks to you. It looks great. You like it?
Yeah!
So that's it. Gardening class is over. Back to school. Yes, you go. Oh, I'm exhausted. So there you have it. This weekend is the perfect time for you to get a few Fijoa plants and define your outdoor space with a beautiful green wall that keeps on giving. And remember, there's more info about this hedge and other varieties on the Kiwi Living website.
Ooh, those kids gave you a run for your money, didn't they?
I was exhausted. They didn't want to go back to class. They just wanted to stay in garden all day.
So cute. Mind you, you were feeding them. Edible things will get me in the garden too, so thank you for this. This is brilliant. Kale, a little bit over the kale revolution, got to say.
I tell you what I do like though is kale chips. Mike Van Delzen's got a great recipe and it's one that I subscribe to. Take off the green parts off the stem, give them a wash, give them a pat dry, massage a little olive oil into the leaves, salt over the top, bake them in the oven, 160 degrees for 10 to 12 minutes. Crispy, tasty, lovely on soup.
Yum, and actually kids love those.
They do.
My daughter loves them. They are easy and yum. Thank you for that, Tony. Now, here's what's coming up. Stacey's here with some great advice for first aid treatment for your pets. Monty's here with how you can get balance back in your life.
So sometimes it's about looking after yourself first before getting help those around you, right?
Absolutely. And I get a tour through this gorgeous home and learn the secrets to softening that trendy industrial look. I'm nosy. Can't help it, so I got a job that demands it, and it is a bit exciting getting a legitimate peek behind the curtains. This week, I'm on a mission to get the insight running on how the industrial look that is so now can be achieved with warmth and personality, which is exactly what I found in the owner of this house. One of this year's key interior trends is using industrial raw materials and metallic touches like copper and brass. But how do you pull off using steel in your own home without it feeling like an industrial warehouse? The words cold, hard steel come to mind, a material more at home in a factory than a family home. So I am dying to know how the owner of this home pulled it off. Lovely to meet you. Thank you for letting us come into your home.
Come on in.
First thing I noticed, of course, this door. Yes. This is a serious door, isn't it?
It certainly is, yes.
It really makes a statement about steel straight away. It's hard to open.
Very hard.
Sonia, a respected interior designer, was her own client for this remarkable project. This is amazing. Actually, this is not quite what I expected. All this heavy material, you'd expect that it could be quite dark.
Well, there's a lot of windows. It's essentially a glass box, so and with the high stud, certainly allows the light to filter in.
It's far less imposing than I thought it would be because there is a lot here. I mean, for example, that box over the fireplace, huge amount of steel, but yet it doesn't feel like it's encroaching on the room.
Well, they've created this glass box, and I think that's helped soften the solidness of the steel because we're looking out through that into the garden.
And in these fabulous boxes.
Because the garden is seasonal and it's changing, then when the garden isn't at its best, we've got some structure. So the steel boxes were created to just add some interest and structure in the garden.
So you did the interior design, and you worked with your own architect.
Well, we were quite strict on our brief in some respects. I mean, there was two key elements. One was having the high stud, and the steel joinery was also very key. I think the beauty of steel is because of its strength. You can use a very thin profile, so you can get these big heights.
Were you concerned at any point thinking, oh golly, it's steel, it's a cold, hard sort of material?
Never.
How come?
Never. I think it's key elements. Certainly the interior finishes is important, and the wood probably in this space is the major element. Then I think colour, obviously, then the brass and the colour of the brass is quite warming as well. You know, I've used curtains on the windows, that all helps. I think it's all those little details that eventually, you know, make it feel like a home and not just an architectural statement.
So it'd be easy to overlook things like taps, for example, wouldn't it? I mean, why put effort into something that you're just going to turn on and get water out, except that you have, and I love this, so brass taps. So why brass?
The brass is warm, and we had the brass in our window door joinery, and it was a lovely contrast to the black of the steel and the granite, and you know, things start to flow once you've got that element in it. It's
so
important.
Are you saying that this is the first time you used brass in the house?
Yes, it was. So then I investigated what else is available in brass and what else can I tie it in with. So we've done brass heated towel rails, light fittings, anywhere that potentially we might have used stainless steel. We've now gone to brass, so we've got that warmer element running through the house.
Absolutely, including these amazing shelving units.
Yes.
I love the brass shelving. I love that. How did that come about?
The shelving I'd initially designed as steel, and it was, you know, square steel. Then I kind of thought, well, hang on, I've got these brass elements, so how can we develop that a little bit further? You know, did a bit more research and sort out these plumbing fittings.
I love that inspiration. I mean, who would think to put plumbing joinery together to make a shelving unit? It's just fabulous, isn't it? It looks so good. So this is your favourite room?
Yes.
What makes it the favourite?
I think perhaps that everything happens in here. You know, it's the workroom of the house, and I think it's got a beautiful light and a through breeze and the connection with the garden, and with the glazing panels in the door and the light panel through here to the kitchen, it brings the light into the house and makes it all work.
So this is the study.
Yes.
Gorgeous. And so interesting too, because it's all dark. The walls are dark.
Yes.
You've got the steel again over here.
Yeah, exactly, intentionally. It's a south-facing room, so I consciously decided to keep it dark because, you know, it only gets the morning sun. And yeah, you know, library studies sort of lend themselves to an intimacy. So, but you've still got that beautiful, you know, glazing allowing that natural light through.
Yeah, and I wonder with the darkness of this room, whether that makes that view to the garden pop even more.
Yeah.
It looks really beautiful. Sonia has achieved something remarkable, a steel-themed interior that's current, but at the same time has a timeless elegance. This house is so clever. Steel is hard and cold, but it can bring a warmth to soften a space. And whatever your budget, there are ways to successfully pull this look off. For more ideas on using steel in your home, visit our website. Coming up, what if you're the first on the scene of your pet's accident? Stacey's here with all the advice, and we're here to help how to get balance in your busy life. So Stacey's here with Dudley. Dudley, who I met when he was just a little pup. How old is he now?
He's 9 now, Mitty.
Is he really? Now, he's not here just for decorative purposes. Actually, there's a practical reason. He's wearing a little jacket that also is not just for decoration, is it?
Not 100%, no. As a smaller dog, you do actually lose more heat compared to a larger dog. So little Dudley here, compared to somebody like a Labrador, he is actually going to lose a lot more heat. And I just think in the colder weather we're having at the moment, sometimes a little jacket could really help.
Oh, great. So it's okay. Dr. Stacey says it's okay to put a jacket on your small dog. Now, tonight's story, first aid for pets.
It's always worrying at home. You come across those situations where you don't know what to do. So tonight we just want to give everyone a couple of go-to points to help them get through those situations.
Excellent. So if your pet's injured, you're the first person on the scene. Here's what to do.
As a vet, I find two of the things that people worry about and face most often are their pets getting hit by a car and cat fights. Knowing what to do in either of these situations is going to help keep you calm under pressure, therefore helping you to help your pet. I hear you've had to deal with a dog that was hit by a car.
Yes, I have, and I really didn't know how to react. I sort of went into a panic.
Kim's reaction is very common, so I've got some advice and simple steps for you to take if you find an animal that's been hit by a vehicle. So one of the first things we're going to check is the menace response, which is basically done by moving your fingers towards the eye, and you see that little blink? That's a positive response, and that means we're still conscious. Another key thing to check is the gums. The gums should be beautiful and pink. If they're white, get to the vet. Next, check the breathing. Place one hand on the back of the chest. Just feel for the rise and fall of the breathing. If you can't feel anything, handy tip, just place your hand in front of the nostrils. You should feel the breath coming in and out. If you can't, can I borrow your glasses? Cool, thanks. Just place the glass surface in front of the nostrils and you should see the condensation build up on the surface. Yeah, just like that. It's really important to approach your injured pet slowly and from the side. Let them see you coming, because even the friendliest little guy can turn into a bit of a land shark if they're upset and injured.
Above all, guys, if your pet's been hit by a car, get them to the vets. There could be internal injuries which are really serious and we need to check it out. We've all heard that awful meowing at night. It sounds like banshees screaming at each other. That's a cat fight. So unfortunately, my little mate Betsy here looks like she's been in a fight, and I think she's been bitten as well. If the puncture wound is nice and small, you can probably take care of it yourself at home. It'll save you a few pennies in the process as well. As we all know, cats can be a challenge to handle, and even more so when they're stressed. One tip to calm a cat down is to gently stroke over the whiskers. Now, the bacteria from the wound can be trapped in the cat's hair, so it's a good idea to shave it off. So what you do is you trim the fur with a small pair of clippers. You definitely don't want to use scissors or razors. They're an absolute no-no. So clear the area of fur and then apply a little bit of antiseptic if you have one at home. Iodine's a really good one. Professional tip with iodine, place it in a clear glass, make it to a weak tea solution and then pop it on some text. If you can read the text through the iodine, you're good to go. If not, add a little bit more water. If you've got nothing else, salty water is really good. Take an average-sized coffee cup filled with warm water and add 1 teaspoon of salt. Apply the solution to your pet's wound twice daily until things are looking healed. If there's any sign of swelling or if you see any pus, there's definitely infection brewing. So unfortunately, guys, you're going to have to take them to the vet. So hopefully these practical first aid tips will help keep your pets nice and safe and comfortable at home until you can get to the vet, plus help you cope as well. For more information, check out our website.
So another common question is what to do if your pet gets burned.
It's a tough one, Mitty. It's a really tough one because the first thing you've got to do is not panic.
Yeah.
No, it sounds easy, but it's hard. And get your dog cool. Get the water on there.
How common is this?
The most common cause that we find is from splashes of hot water.
Oh.
And they can be quite nasty. So the first thing we've got to do, just like ourselves, is we've got to get the wound nice and cool.
Right.
So running under cold water for 5 minutes at a time, great start.
But don't stop there.
Don't stop there. Give us a call at the clinic. If you can get them down to us sooner rather than later, the thing we can avoid is toxic shock. Because the wound is one thing, but the release of all those toxins through the body is another. And the smaller the dog, the more we're worried about it. The sooner they can get down to us, the better.
Very good. Thank you, Stacey. Thank you, Dudley, the world's most chilled out dog. So gorgeous. Lovely to see you both. Here's what's coming up. The answer to the common catch cry, work-life balance. Monty's here after the break. Work to live, live to work. What's the right answer? Can there be balance? Monty says yes. Here he is with all the answers.
As Kiwis, work-life balance is something that is of great importance to so many of us. But I want to find out if we're getting that good work-life balance and what the ideal balance is. Alison Fisher is a career and life coach who spends a lot of time with Kiwis helping to achieve their goals. Alison, work-life balance, what does it actually mean?
I think we need to be realistic. You know, our lives are so busy and we have lots of things that push and pull us, people and activities. So I think we need to define what it is for us as individuals.
So it's not one size fits all?
No, for some people, balance is making sure they run every second day. For some people, it's just about reading in the weekend, finding a book, finding a moment to read a book.
So sometimes it's about looking after yourself first before getting help those around you, right?
Absolutely. And I think we get out of balance if we don't do that enough.
Alison has some great tips for getting back the balance. First up, planning.
Planning is essential. So beginning of the week, sit down with your household, decide what's going to happen that week, what's important, who can do what.
Growing up was always, if you fail to prepare, prepare to fail. You've got to plan this stuff for it to work out.
And if it's planned, it's more likely to happen.
You could also ask for help.
So get people to help you. So if you've got teenagers in the house, get them to help you make dinner. Sometimes, as parents, we try to do it all.
And it's not just always about the little kids, sometimes it's the big kids, right?
Oh, that's right. Dads, partners. And I guess that's about communicating. Women need to learn to ask their partners for help more. I think they tend to take on a lot of responsibility themselves and think they have to do it alone. So perhaps the dad can pick up the kids once a week after school. Is the dad able to take the kids to activities? You know, what is the balance between running a household? Who's going to take on the different activities?
Perhaps seek some work flexibility.
So it might be that you talk to your boss. Yeah. And that because one morning a week you need to drop the kids at school.
Well, our bosses aren't going to know or realise what we're after until we ask the question.
Absolutely, and we don't ask enough. Often people are too afraid to ask the questions. If we don't ask, we don't get. And be assertive, like be upfront, ask, what do you want? How do you want your work life to look like? Yeah. No, it can't always happen every week. Sure, there are work commitments that get in the way, but what will work for you?
And finally, switch off. You're meant to be more efficient with all the technology, but it's making us work longer hours.
It can really interfere with our work-life balance, and it's okay to switch off. You're having dinner, switch off. You know, we expect teenagers to switch their phones off at dinner, so we need to do the same.
So what role does social media play in our work-life balance?
Well, of course, if we're on it all the time, then we're missing out.
Guilty.
We're just so busy in our lives. The one thing I call mindfulness moments is just taking a moment in every day to take time for yourself.
These are some great tips, but I want to look a little bit deeper. Dr. Stephen Child has some fascinating insights into work-life balance and its relationship to stress. Well, Doc, is a poor work-life balance connected to stress?
Yes, and there's lots of ways that it can be connected to stress. I mean, one way it can be is if stress occurs at work. Someone irritates you at work and then you bring that home. Or possibly you can work many, many hours in the day and then have no time to take care of other aspects of that balance.
But does it really matter if we're more stressed? Does it affect our health overall?
Well, it depends. I mean, not all stress is bad. If you think about it, there's sort of external stress and then there's internal stress, isn't there? You'll often hear athletes, for example, they're coming, you'll know this, Monty, coming into a final championship game is a stressful thing.
Sure.
But it often brings out the best in athletes. You probably thrived on that stress and it brought out the best in you.
Okay, so internal stress, what is that?
If you're frustrated in that goal, if you are unable to train one day, then you might start worrying about that, might start having recurrent thoughts about that, may stop connecting with other people, may start not sleeping as well as you are because you're still thinking of those thoughts. And suddenly what was a good external stress can become a bad internal stress, which is the type of stress that tends to do the worst damage to our mind and to our body.
So some people just cope better with stress than others?
Yes, yeah, and that's what people talk about, and they use this term resilience. In other words, so how do we respond when stress is put upon us? And studies have shown that people that are resilient, people that respond well to stress, are usually people who are comfortable in their own skin. How well we love ourselves, really, how accepting we are of ourselves, how accepting we are of the situation, and then how much we're grateful for what we have. Both the good and the bad makes us who we are. But probably the important thing when it comes to things like work, for example, is that it's often our connectedness, it's our caring and it's our relationship with others that is where our strength comes from and our resilience comes from.
So caring for someone can reduce stress?
Oh, very much so. Studies have shown that our connectedness with other people is what often lowers stress. You know, you've heard the line, a problem shared is a problem halved. That's part of it. But also part of it is loving others, is thinking of someone else. Therefore, in lots of ways, it puts your problems in perspective. It allows you to share that problem. And just the act of loving others and caring for others lowers our heart rate, lowers our blood pressure, and lowers our stress. If you just look at work-life balance, sometimes you need to reduce the work so that you can increase the connectedness, increase the relationships. For example, if work is stopping you coaching your son's rugby team, that might be a stress in itself. On the other hand, if work is giving you your connectedness and work is your passion, then it may be helping. And so every situation is different, and that's why we use the word balance, and we don't have a prescription for the best way to live life.
That's a lot of information to take in, but for me, it's about starting with one or two of those things and building from there. Us Kiwis, we cherish the work-life balance, so let's keep it that way.
So that was planning, ask for help, ask for work flexibility, and look for personal, not technology connectedness. Easier said than done, I know, but will we go to our graves wishing we'd sent that last work email? Hope you've enjoyed relaxing with us tonight and you're feeling ready for a great weekend ahead. Lovely to share the last hour with you. See you next week. Paul Murray. Next week on Kiwi Living, Mike Van Delsen has some beautiful and delicious Mother's Day treats for a high tea at your place. Tony finds out about luxury holidays in our Art Deco capital of Napier. The DIY team have some brilliant ideas for turning trash into treasure. Tony visits an artfully low-maintenance garden. And Monty has some more great advice for living a healthy life. That's next week, here on Kiwi Living.